There were some very, very smart places you could stay for $10 a night very easily in a private room. Lots of the countries in Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Cambodia, particularly cheap. Thailand also very cheap. Yeah, I mean, there will still always be some people who want to spend as little as they humanly can. They can still stay in some pretty clean places, I think. So the dirtiness of it is not necessarily, it doesn't have to be something that people are living in. Certainly on islands and places where there are lots of wooden huts, you are more likely to end up in scruffy basic accommodation, less likely to have hot water, for instance. There's more the case in India and Nepal, South Asia, more than Southeast Asia. There's a lot of accommodation with no hot water. Southeast Asia generally is a little bit more advanced. It's not the best word to use maybe, but developed. There's much more of an infrastructure in a country like Thailand. It's just much more modern than somewhere like India. I think the most attractive thing of all is not having a plan. And so the idea probably helped very much by hostels, by the fact you could turn up, it's almost bound to be a bed in a room. If you're willing to share a room with other people, it's very likely you're going to find a bed. So to turn up without a plan, meet people, see what happens, and not even knowing which direction you're going to go after you've arrived, I think people find that particularly appealing, and basing their decisions on the conversations they have instead of what they've read and what they've been told. Obviously, they should be looking on a site like ours to find that, but also we'll give them the credit that to turn up without a plan is actually probably the best way of doing it of all, or the most exciting. And traveling for a long time for very little money is also an exciting thing to do. And so lots of people choose to go backpacking at a time where they can just extend it. Not everyone has that option, but the people that do have that option, you can see why that's a very, very appealing way of spending your life. Seeing something you hadn't seen before is, it sounds kind of obvious, but I would give an example for myself. I was going snorkeling for the first time around a tropical island, which I'd not done, and it was basically like flashbacks to nature documentaries I'd seen as a child. I've not seen anything like that. The sea was never like that anywhere I'd been before. It was never as full of life as what I saw that day. And that was just snorkeling, so you know, it was a very accessible thing to do. But I think that, yeah, I think it's finding yourself in places that are just completely different to what you've known. If I was to read this question as the perfect backpacking day, I would say you probably do a couple of these activities that are something new, seeing scenery that you haven't seen, seeing some animals that you haven't seen, and then sitting on a plastic stool at a table at the side of a road and eating some very delicious street food. And that's probably what has to top every backpacking day off, really. Yeah, that would be my answer.